my name is Justin Park, and today I'll be giving you a short walkthrough of our intergalactic solar system. If you'd like to try this out on your own, you can visit our website, intergalacticeducation.com, or you can download us in both of the app stores on your phone or tablet device. You can log in as guest. Otherwise, if you want to track your progress, you can register an account. Let's go ahead and hit the login button here. Watch it lift off for Earth. This is our solar system here. You can zoom in and out with your scroll wheel on your mouse. Otherwise, if you're using your phone, you can pinch and unpinch with your fingers. If we take a look at the sun, this is our closest star. It gives us all of the energy that we need to have life exist on planet Earth. It's what the planets need in order to perform photosynthesis. As you can see, there is a corona. It's the outer layer of the sun. It pulsates and gives off lots of different particles, alpha and gamma particles, which are high in radiation and kind of dangerous. Luckily, we have an ozone that protects us from those rays, but astronauts aren't so lucky. So when we start sending astronauts to Mars, for example, we're going to have to think very deeply about how we're going to protect them from the dangerous radiation that the sun gives off. Otherwise, they're going to get cancer, and that's bad. As you can see, there's little bursts. These are solar mass ejections, and they come and go in cycles. There's a whole realm of science that's dedicated to the study of the sun called heliophysics. The sun gives off solar winds, and yeah, it's an important part of our celestial ecosystem. If you look on the side here, you can see the different navigation buttons. We can go to the different planets, and you can go to the different moons and dwarf planets. There's a dwarf planet called Ceres that's between Mars and Jupiter. That's very important. It's interesting because it's got volcanoes of ice. If we want to take a look at our the closest planet, which is currently still a planet, I think it's probably going to get demoted to a dwarf planet, Mercury, just because if you look at its orbit, it's very oblong. Mercury doesn't have a atmosphere like all of the other planets, and so I'm pretty sure that's kind of be like Pluto someday, where Mercury just gets demoted. Venus is a very important sister planet of Earth. Unfortunately, it's very, very hot there. Greenhouse gases have raised the temperature and the pressure, and so any water on the surface immediately boils away. Although a couple of months ago, some scientists detected phosphine in the atmosphere, and so they think there's a possibility of some kind of extremophile or microorganism that's living in the clouds of Venus. The third closest planet to the sun is Earth, which is near and dear to every one of the billions of people that live here. Earth has one moon, call it Luna. Luna is very important because it controls the tidal phases of Earth. The oceans go up and down because of our moon. And we sent a few people there back in the 60s, and hopefully we'll be sending the first female to the moon here in the next 4 years with the NASA's Artemis program. And so if we hover over any of these celestial bodies, you'll notice that there's another menu that pops up that gives you additional information about how often the celestial body rotates around the sun. Its rotational period, as we know, there's 24 hours in a day. There's 365 days in a year. It's got the radius and the velocity, and as you know, it gets very, very cold in the winter times, especially if you live in Antarctica. And if you live in the equator during the summer, it also gets very, very hot. If you want to discover more about Earth, you can click on Earth, and everything zooms out to give you a better perspective of how far apart everything is. And at the same time, Earth is special because we have countries. And so if you open up the country menu here, you can go to the different countries. If we want to check out the United States, we can zoom in here and we can see, yeah, its capital is the Washington, D.C. District of Columbia. It's in North America and it has a population of about 332 million people. If we want to see where South Korea is, we can click on South Korea. It looks like it's nighttime over there and they've got lots of lights on. So yeah, the Earth goes around every 24 hours. We've got satellites that are circling the Earth, giving us important things like the weather and communication capabilities. We can also see what's going on. If there's a natural disaster, it's important to have satellites in the sky so that we can see what's going on. If we want to go back, we can navigate to our moon as well. Our moon is important because it, yeah, it's kind of a stepping stone as well into the rest of the solar system. There's not very much gravity there, and so it's a good place to launch after you've refilled your rockets. NASA recently found a bunch of ice that are on the polar regions, and so we can use that ice as fuel to go to other locations in the solar system. So we come back here, we can take a look at our next planet, which is Mars. If we zoom in here, we can see Mars from far away. It's got actually two moons. It's got Phobos here, which rotates very close to the surface. It doesn't have very much gravity at all either. It's really kind of a small rock. And then Deimos here, which is also important. It's a moon of Mars, and so yeah, it's a destination for NASA to discover new things. Yeah, as you can see, there's also ice around the polar regions of Mars. Hopefully we'll live there someday. Right now there's nobody's actually been to Mars before, but NASA's got a number of robots that have landed on the surface and are mapping it out and trying to discover what the atmosphere is made up of. And so yeah, Mars actually has two moons. Ceres, which I mentioned earlier, is a dwarf planet. It's interesting because there's not very much in between Jupiter and Mars. It also doesn't really orbit on the same eclipse that all of the other planets do. As you can see, this not so flat orbit. This is Ceres. If we were to go around, it's a pretty small dwarf planet, but it actually makes up a pretty substantial portion of the asteroid belt. That's what all these little rocks you're seeing that are passing in front of the sun are asteroids. They're basically just rocks that you can hopefully mine someday, because some of them are high in the platinum group metals, which are important for making cell phones and different technologies that we use here on Earth. This is Jupiter. Jupiter is important. It's its own little solar system. It's got 79 moons, and we're finding new ones every couple of years. There's a couple of important ones, the Galilean moons, because they're so big you can actually see them with a low-power telescope. Yeah, you can hover over and get more information about the different moons. And Saturn is the next planet. It's incredibly beautiful because it's got a ring, a number of rings that go around, and so you can actually see those with the low-power telescope as well. It also has 82 moons now. They just discovered 10 new moons last year, and so it's surpassed Jupiter as having the most moons. If we go out a little further, we've got Uranus is the next planet out here. Uranus hasn't had a whole lot of NASA missions to it. It's really, as you can see, really far away from Earth. And then the last planet in our solar system is Neptune. Neptune's really far away. It's got one gigantic moon called Triton, And Triton's interesting because it's just so big compared to most of the other moons in the solar system. If you want to zoom out and check out some of the other stars that are in our Milky Way galaxy, you can zoom out and you'll be taken to our Milky Way where you can discover different stars. Stars have different shapes. Most of them are spherical in colors, depending on how much energy the star has. And so yeah, if you're interested, I would suggest going to intergalacticeducation.com and trying out the application for yourself. Thanks.